Hello everyone, this is Stardust here 123 coming into you with a super awesome game. It is called Ship Simulator. Actually, it's Ship Sinking Simulator. Oh, this is one heck of a game. Now, this is really old and I don't think it's being updated anymore, but I can still play it. I really don't think. I mean, the last update to this game was 3 months ago, and there hasn't been really another post but then since the Kickstarter refunds, because they kicked someone off the team, and basically only 2 people, and it didn't work. And this is a really basic game. All it is a sandbox where you can load and reload ships, and, you know, I have a surprise for you. And right here is the Titanic. At least this was the developer version of the Titanic that comes with the game on default. Now, hold on, let me bring up my settings to the game. There we are, okay. I believe we're still recording, I'll just check. Yep, okay, if you saw some red number /cross, that's normal. So yes, here is the Titanic from the developers. I made my own version, which sinks much better than this. So, as you know, I've done quite extensive research into the Titanic. So, if you would have read anything like that, you know that the first 3 hull compartments of the Titanic were punctured. And since the 3 of them were punctured, that meant the ship would sink, because if anything 2 or below were punctured, they would stay afloat. But it didn't quite work out that way, so we'll simulate an iceberg hitting this thing. So, puncture compartment 1, puncture of compartment 2, puncture of compartment 3, and we will slowly see water, at least what kind of looks like water, begin to form up on the bottom. At least I might have put this puncture a little bit too high. I hope I didn't. We can always reload this, or I can just kind of bring the puncture down a little bit. There, we'll if we puncture one of those, and that'll begin dragging the ship down. But there's a few problems with this you're going to find as we play. Now, problem 1 is, well, there's not 16 compartments. There's only 8. Which, super unrealistic. But, I mean, I would have had to, if I really wanted to make it realistic, I would have had to extend the ship by a lot, and it wouldn't have even looked like the Titanic anymore. Wow, this is not flooding very fast. I'll turn up the water pressure to 4. Yeah, there's an options menu. You have to turn up the strength, because normally it's on 5, so the ship would just immediately destroy itself, which doesn't really work well if you're wanting to make a Titanic. I mean, it's a ship simulator, sinking ship sinking simulator, however you make that, and just having it rip apart instantly does not work that well. So here we are starting to see a list forward. If you didn't notice by now, you're kind of, you're not very observant aboard the ship. But as you'll also start seeing, this is perfectly flat, and this is really listing. This bends. I wish it didn't, but it does bend. In the other one I made, I might have to reinforce this again with another one, but here you see, here is the compartments flooding. Water won't go over that, but as soon as this does seep, it just begins to spill over, and there, you see these red lines here? These are stress. I have the highlight stress mode on just to see the ship kind of rip apart and how it would do. So there's the front of the ship. It is leaning down, sagging quite heavily, unlike the real Titanic. If this was real Titanic, the bottom would be way up in the air by now. And as you can also see, it tends to split down the middle rather fast. It didn't get that high in the air, and this isn't connected anymore, which, I don't know, to me isn't a real Titanic thing. But also that tower kind of bends and falls over. Let's just clip that out. Yeah, we put that out of its misery. So we'll just turn up the water pressure just to see this happen a little bit faster. You know, next time it dips in, this thing will probably never come back out. Yep. So yeah, and then I'll slow it down to like 3 again, so we can watch it slowly and agonizingly sink. Also, at this part, pretty much this tower falls over, and, you know, this one does too. At least for the most part. And there's Jack and Rose would be, oh my gosh, Jack, Rose, where are you? Yes, this is where we first met. And that's so sad. I watched Titanic the other day. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, the ending of it is kind of realistic. It not how I'd like it, though. It crashes forward, which is highly unrealistic. Well, I mean, it's not unrealistic, but ships don't tend to flop forward once they're like that. So that's pretty much the Titanic. As you can see, this thing is stressing out. We need to make more holes here, because, I mean, the deck would be pretty much, like, destroyed at this point. And we'll just turn up the water pressure so it sinks really fast. And done. Okay, well, I turned it off completely. So, yeah, then that sinks down to the bottom, and you have to hope that when it hits the bottom, there's not a severe crash. Now, what I did find was something incredible. I went into the files, and you can just edit them using like a Paint, or I use GIMP, which is a more professional program. It's still free though, if you like it. I like it. It's awesome. And I don't want to display this crashing, so we're gonna load it up quickly. The Titanic 2. Now, with the Titanic 2, what I did was I added a lot more rooms. I added these, so this helps hold the ship together. I can't really do anything about these bending, so I added these like really super struts to try to keep it up in the air. I completely got rid of all the ropes because the ropes were just breaking on like instantly. I replaced all this with steel hull, so it makes it, and I added more compartments for more realism. So now this is the first, second, and third. So basically the iceberg went like that and kind of like that. Yeah, there we go. And again, I don't know if this is too high. I'll turn down the buoyancy for a second just so the ship dips a little bit more into the water than average. And once it's got a little bit of water in it, it really starts weighing it down, and it just kind of sinks really fast. So yeah, as we dip down again, there we are. And, you know, it's normal on the Titanic. Everybody's like, oh, we're having such a good time as poor and rich people. The third and first class is really separate, and, you know. And of course, the people in a third class down here on the bottom would probably be like, oh my god, there's water flooding the hallways. This is terrible. But, you know, they're not really going to do anything about it. The captain's like, did we hit it or did we not? And then the navigator's guy like, darn it, we hit an iceberg. Which, around here, there's not really any icebergs. Of course, this is a really flat ocean. And, so, yeah. Yeah. Oh, I don't know what that was. Also, why is this not that large? Oh, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, whoa, see what's going on here? Okay, still flooding in the front. But yeah, I only saw the simulator after I watched, what was I watching? Oh, Kerbal Space Program World War, like, 2, Galactic War. Pretty awesome, if you ask me. You should check it out yourself. If you like Kerbal Space Program Wars, kind of YouTube search it or go on the Kerbal Space Program website. I love Kerbal Space Program. It's awesome. Okay, here we are. More progress on the Titanic. Look at that. Water is just going. It's spilling over that compartment, which is the failure of the other Titanic. Also, in this Titanic, for some reason, water goes up the supports. So yeah, you can see the stress here is really taking a toll, but it's not quite breaking. Yeah, it's just sitting there. It's flooding each compartment, and the ship is actually rising more in the air than it naturally would, mainly because of these. This is kind of holding the ship together. It's trying to force it straight, but it kind of looks cool as a rope. And yeah, so normally this is when the ship would begin to lose support because, yeah, see how it arcs up in the air? So we're just going to simulate these finally snapping, which puts a lot more stress on it. And if I just kind of bust some of this stuff out here, you can just watch as the ship kind of just rips apart, kind of hangs on a little bit, but it still doesn't hang on. I should probably make that bottom hole thicker. That'll probably, and then we experience a deletion. Oh, that's too bad. Way too bad. Let me reload that. And I will see you guys again when we can sink it all the way. Okay, so here we are again. The front of the ship is pretty much underwater at this point. I tried to speed it up a little bit just to give that feeling. And as you can see, the back rudder is like falling over, doing some really creepy stuff, just like it normally does. So yep, the front of the ship is underwater, the back of the ship is rising into the air, and we really hope this won't crash again. So just like last time, it gets high enough into the air, we break this, which puts more strain on here, and we'll just kind of bust that off a little bit, just to assist the ship. And look at that snapping action. Look at that. Oh, and it kind of wants to hang on, but it doesn't. It doesn't have that ability, which is unfortunate because Titanic would have been great if it would have not sunk. If it didn't sink, what would the Titanic be now? Or, well, would have it sank? Well, the only Olympic ship that survived that Blue Star or White Star Line made was the what was it called? There was the oh my gosh. I really need to do more Titanic research. I did a whole article about this, and I don't even remember it. There is the Titanic, and then the was the Olympic an actual ship? I don't remember, but one of them was known for the only commercial merchant ship to ram a U-boat. That's the one I'm trying to think of. But yeah, there was two other ships like the Titanic. They both didn't make it. I mean, one of them made it. The one I was just talking. Oh my gosh, I'm so confusing. One of them made it. It was scrapped. So let's take a look at what the people are doing aboard the Titanic. There's a lot of screaming. The musicians are talking to each other. They're kind of like what are they saying? They're saying, "Gentlemen, it's been an honor playing with you." Acting like the ship didn't sink and being gentlemen. And, Rose and Jack are now up for a more extreme and severe version of the Titanic they just had to go through because they didn't. Well, they're not going to make it. Not in this version. There's no lifeboats or anything that got on this ship. And it's too bad, but they all die. It's kind of like the Titanic too. If you've ever seen that movie, thumbs up. And there it goes, sinking under the water. We'll just simulate more hull damage and watch it go all the way down. Now, what else? What else do I want to show you besides this blue screen? There we are. Well, that and the ship somehow disappeared. No, it's over here. There it is. I always wondered what would happen if you lowered the depth, because then the stuff started falling again, and then you raised it back up. Oh, it just destroys it. Oh, and then it lags the game. There's some weird issue where your CPU just won't take it. Actually, no, the CPU can take it. I think it's the game processing that just the engine is broken. Because I'm still getting a fine CPU, like FPS, but Just one last thing I want to show you in this game. You can go download it. It's free. Just search Sinking Ship Simulator. It's pretty incredible. But if you just basically if you go into the options and then you show the settings, I already have them shown, and you turn the buoyancy down to 0, the entire ship, like air, just doesn't even work anything, and the ship just goes right under. But what you can do is something amazing. You can then turn the buoyancy back all the way up to 10, and if it doesn't fill up too much water like mine did, and it doesn't snap in half before, it flies out of the water. Let's try doing that again. I kind of let it get down a little bit too far. It is absolutely hilarious. Just as oh, darn it, that happens. On occasion, it does that. I don't know why. Yes. And buoyancy up. And watch that thing skyrocket, and boom! Oh my god, look at the Titanic fly! It's like I'm the Titanic! And the musicians probably aren't having a good time. But look at that, as it comes back into the water, it just crushes itself, and next time it just won't be able to do anything. I mean, we pretty much sank it just in its own special way. I mean, what if that would have happened in real life? But it would have been amazing. Well, I mean, tragic in its own way, but amazing in another way. So there's one last thing I can show you that can happen is if you take the strength and you if you start lowering it below 5, some weird things start happening with the ship, and as you can see, it kind of just begins to rip the ship apart, as it can't handle anything. So what you can also do is turn the strength up to 10, and then 0, 10, 0, 10, 0, 10, 0. And it just does this incredible damage to the ship. I will show you again. So 10, and then you can spike it, and it just takes more damage as this goes on. And basically, it snaps in half at the place you would expect it. Otherwise, if you want to be kind of just a cool guy, you can just break each one open in the front and just watch the ship go to its eternal doom. Turn the water pressure all the way up. Turn the waves up to something crazy like that. And, the strength down. And buoyancy down a little bit. Turn that down to 5. I have my buoyancy. I actually custom edited the materials to make them stronger. You can also do that within the game settings. It's awesome. You should check it out. You know where to find it. If you like this episode, please rate, comment, and subscribe. Especially rate, oh my gosh. I don't know what it is with me tonight. I just can't talk. But if you especially like this game, please leave a comment about it, that you want to see more of it. I could build you more ships. I could build my own custom ships rather than just the Titanic. And we can just, have a party in this game. It will be incredible, I promise you. So, I've been Stardust0123. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Otherwise, I will see you guys next time.